Good evening and welcome to That's Pride. I am Rylan Cavell, and on the show we regularly guide you through some of the issues facing the LGBT community every week, keep you informed and entertained. Get involved by tweeting us at That's Pride. Tonight it's a special show, as it's the grand final of the Queer of the Year Awards. You've nominated in great numbers, and on tonight's show we'll be announcing the winners. I've always felt like there's people out there who don't have a voice, who don't have enough volume sort of to what they need to say and to be listened to, essentially. And for people who perhaps aren't aware of what issues the LGBT community face, or just a good resource for information there for people who aren't sure perhaps about themselves. They can, they can listen or they can watch and think, I'm not alone.
Yeah. Okay.
So essentially, my activism is just being an outlet, being a channel for people to come in and to talk about what they do. It's every sort of art form is a form of catharsis, and even though you might not look at it, there is an art to what we do. There's always a form of sort of therapy, self-therapy you can go through. And with the Orlando shooting and the anti-trans bills in America, with racism and homophobia rearing its very ugly head, so it was the entire show dedicated to Orlando, which was necessary and very cathartic. Watching it back, it was a really honest, emotional, truthful exploration of what it actually means to the LGBT community, and explaining it in a way that will be understood by straight people.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for those who voted.
Yes.
Proper scream on 3. 1, 2, 3.
It was a way to sort of release my emotional what the fuckery sort of via the show, which I think we do quite often. It's we come in and it's like, have you seen the news? And we get out of our system and explain it to the wider world, and it's a way of us dealing with it, as well as everyone else as well. Yeah, it's good that it helps me, it's good that it helps other people too. Mainly me.
Wonderful.
You had a balloon in the air. Yeah. I write and produce and direct little fringe theatre stuff, so that's all behind the scenes. It's the man behind the curtain kind of scenario. But the TV was an opportunity I couldn't really pass up. Something else connected to what I love to shout about, essentially. Equality, freedom, etc., etc. But you just happen to have my face on it as well.
Might it be better if you both kind of just have that and both wave at the same time?
I'd much rather be behind the scenes, orchestrating everything, pulling the strings. But it just so happens that currently, I'm actually quite enjoying being this side of the camera, as well as organising stuff from the other side of it.
I hear it's getting quieter. So weird.
That's here. Hi. Yeah.
So I've always been a bit of a showman, even as tiny little Rylan running around. My family always got together at my dad's parents' house for Christmas on Boxing Day. The whole family. There was this huge tribe that all descend on this tiny little terraced house in London, and there'd be the family show. It's actually a photo which I've got saved precious in a frame at home of me and my sister, and it's just us doing this. And there's my great uncle in the background, sort of. So clearly he wasn't a fan of our singing voices. And then where are we? Yeah. How my parents did not know I was gay with this photo, I have no idea. Or where was it with that one? Chasing a rugby ball around the garden in high heels. Oh, isn't she fab? The main ones on this arm are sort of autobiographical to a degree. So we've got the zip here, which is being from London. So that was it always felt sort of big and grey and spiky. It didn't feel very friendly. And then moving to North Yorkshire when I was 11, when I kind of grew up properly. So that's the vines, that's all the flowers there. And then everything sort of going to shit slightly and moving away to Manchester, then it's the Phoenix, sort of rising again, starting again. So that's sort of that arm is a story essentially, but the other arm is just for fun. The other arm is just for fun. So we've got a lovely dandy velociraptor, and up under the sleeve that you can't see properly is a Triceratops astronaut. So yeah, I've got plans for a lot more. Some of them tell a bit more of a story. Other ones are just purely because they're pretty and they're nice. If any point I'm a complete geek. Yeah, complete and utter geek. And a lot of the stuff, the plays and stuff I write all have some kind of odd sort of sci-fi element to them as well. I've always been a fan of Star Wars and Star Trek. You know, some people say you can't love both. You've got to love one or the other. No. I'm an equal lover. Both get my love fairly. In the majority of sci-fi universes, there is such diversity. You've got alien races from all over all of the cosmos. You've got pan-dimensional beings. You've got all sorts of just weirdness, and I love it. That is another thing I love about the queer community. There is such diversity. We don't always get on. It doesn't always work out properly, but we're always together when it matters, and that's a lovely thing to see in a lot of sci-fi. There's that escapism, but there's also that mixture, which I feel very at home with. What I'd love eventually, pie in the sky sort of thing, is to translate both radio and TV into a much bigger show. In the ideal world, a nice big Channel 4 production, that'd be lovely. News of the week, sort of performance, whether it be poetry or drag or musicians, and in-depth discussion with particular people on particular topics. Wet flag waving there. But I mean,
something completely different.
I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I can be hopeful. When you're doing a queer show for queer people, to a degree you're preaching to the converted. The only people who actually stopped me and said, I've seen you on that telly show, have been straight people. And of course that, a lot of straight people won't be in a situation like me and many of my friends are, where they're sort of involved in various different parts of the queer community. So it's outside of their sphere, outside of their world completely. So to have, even if they only catch 5 minutes, to have that little bit of extra understanding about me and my friends and their families, and this big, colourful, queer blob of people, which is, in my eyes, beautiful and fantastic and weird and strange. If they're aware of what effect something has on us as human beings, and they see it happening, and they can stop it, they can shout, they can talk it down, they can tell their friends who have perhaps a bigoted or unfavourable view of us, some positivity, pass on some positivity to them, and change some opinions, then that's really what it's all about at the end of the day.
3, 2, 1. Love it!
Perfection, thank you everyone.
That's a wrap.
You are all
Is this yours?
fantastic.
It's been wonderful.
Thank you so much, guys.
Oh no, we're going to that one.
Well, we took a picture last night. There was a car that said "Bye Blue." I don't know who's umbrella I can buy it, but.